Someone you know just disappeared. Not from the world, from the feed. One ordinary day they simply stopped. No dramatic farewell. No taking a break for my mental health. Post, just a quiet absence where their face used to be. And if you've ever watched someone do this, you know the strange little reactions it sets off in everyone else. The suspicion, the eye roll. They think they're better than us now. The confident prediction, give it 2 weeks, they'll be back. But the people who actually delete social media and stay gone are usually not making a statement, and they're usually not running away from anything. Something much more interesting is happening, because at some point, their brain quietly figured out it was losing a fight it was never built to win, and it did the only rational thing left. It walked away from the table. Let's talk about what that fight actually was, because most people misunderstand it completely. You were never just scrolling. You were sitting at a slot machine that lives in your pocket. The feeds you use are engineered by teams of brilliant people whose entire job is to capture and hold your attention for as long as humanly possible. And the most powerful tool they use has a name. Variable ratio reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You pull the lever. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And the unpredictability is exactly what hooks you. That little pull to refresh gesture you do 100 times a day. Swiping down and waiting to see what loads, that is not an accident. A former design ethicist at Google, Tristan Harris, famously pointed out that it is, functionally, a slot machine. You're not checking your phone because you're weak. You're checking it because some of the smartest engineers on Earth designed it, so you couldn't stop. So, when someone deletes the app entirely, understand what they actually did. They didn't lose a battle of willpower. They looked at a machine specifically built to defeat willpower, and they decided the only way to win was to stop playing. But here's where it gets more personal, because the slot machine was only half of it. The other half is comparison. Back in 1954, the psychologist Leon Festinger described social comparison theory. The idea is simple. Humans figure out how they're doing by measuring against other people. It's automatic. You can't really switch it off. For most of history, that was fine, because you only compared yourself to the few dozen people in your village. Social media took that ancient instinct and pointed it at the entire planet, all at once on its very best day. Because what you see in a feed isn't other people's lives. It's their highlight reels. The vacations, the wins, the perfect angles, the good news. And you sit there comparing all of that, everyone's curated best, against the one thing you have full access to, your own behind the scenes, your boredom, your doubts, your ordinary Tuesday. Psychologists call this upward social comparison, and the research consistently links it to envy, lower mood, and a quiet corrosive feeling that everyone is doing better than you. The people who delete social media often did it because their nervous system simply got tired of losing a comparison that was rigged from the start. And here's the part that surprises people. When you actually leave, it works. This isn't just a vibe, it's been measured. In 2018, researchers at the University of Pennsylvania had people limit their social media to about 30 minutes a day. After 3 weeks, that group showed significant drops in loneliness and depression compared to those who kept scrolling normally. Then in 2020, a major study in the American Economic Review took it further. Researchers paid a large group to deactivate Facebook entirely for 4 weeks. The results were striking. The people who logged off reported higher happiness and life satisfaction, were less politically polarized, and got back around an hour of their day every single day, an hour a day. That's the part that quietly haunts people who finally do the math. There's even a name for it, a genuine paradox. Research finds that the more time people spend on social media, the more socially isolated they tend to feel. More connection, somehow producing less. The people who delete it are often chasing the one thing the feed kept promising and never delivered, to actually feel less alone. Now, here's where it gets a little uncomfortable, and it's the deepest layer of all. When you live on social media, you are never fully alone with your own life. There's a low, constant hum of performance running underneath everything you do. You see a sunset and a part of your brain instantly composes the caption. You are, in a quiet way, always being watched, or at least, always preparing to be. Psychologists would say you're stuck in a permanent state of self-presentation, performing for an audience that never quite claps. And the thing people report most often after they delete it, more than the free time, more than the better mood, is that the narration stopped. The sunset became just a sunset. They stopped documenting their life and started, simply, living it. It's not always smooth. The first week or two can feel genuinely awful. The phantom reach for an app that isn't there. The spike of fear you're missing something crucial. But that fear, the famous fear of missing out, does something funny once you actually leave. It fades. Because most of what you were afraid of missing, it turns out, was never really there. So let's be clear. Social media isn't evil, and not everyone needs to delete it. Plenty of people use it lightly and joyfully with no trouble at all. And yes, some quit loudly and quietly reinstall it a week later. But the quiet ones, the ones who delete it and stay gone, are usually not anti-technology and not better than anyone. They simply ran an honest cost-benefit calculation, and the math changed. The cost of being a product had become higher than the joy of being a user, because that's really what the choice comes down to. On social media, your attention is the thing being sold, which means, in a very real sense, you are not the customer. You're the product, and the people who delete it are the ones who decided they'd rather be a person than a product, even if it meant disappearing from your feed. So, the next time someone you know quietly vanishes from the timeline, resist the eye roll. They didn't fail at social media. They just stopped playing a game designed so they could never really win. And if your own thumb has ever hovered over that app and some quiet voice whispered, "Just delete it," before fear talked you out of it, maybe that voice wasn't weakness. Maybe it was your brain running the same math, trying to tell you something true. If this resonated with you, go ahead and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel. And if you want to support these deeper dives, hit the join button to become a member. I'll see you in the next one.